Welcome to another episode of Kap Or No Kap. I'm your host, Kevin C. Meggett. I'm glad you could join me. So we're going to jump right into it today. All right, we still got this thing going on with Russia. Russia is still beating up on the Ukraine, and we're sitting here still giving billions and billions of dollars to aid what's going on in the Ukraine. And I'm not really sure that that's the goal or that's the focus of the American people. I believe that the elite is actually pushing this narrative that we have an open wallet policy as it pertains to Russia, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. It shouldn't be. We got issues that are here. We got bridge and tunnel issues. The roads are corroding. Education. You got maniacs going and shooting up schools. We got issues here that we need funds diverted into mental health. Definitely poverty. We act like poverty doesn't exist. We act like poverty has been totally eradicated in America, and it could be so further from the truth. In fact, it's probably gotten even broader and wider. And so, and the biggest group, we don't talk about it, the largest group affected are actually the native black Americans that have been in this country from day one. So we have to rectify that, and I think the only way that we can actually rectify that problem is through reparations. So I'm very pro-reparations, but I digress. Let's talk about the world. China's still beating up on the Ukraine. Not China, Russia's still beating up on the Ukraine. India just teamed up with China to say, hey, we down with y'all because y'all seem to have it going on. Your money's popping and your influence on the world is popping. So, America, we're starting to lose a lot of our influential grip on the world. It's a shame that Democrats and Republicans can't come together to strategically figure out how to fix this world mess that we're in. You're looking at the makings, I believe, of a third world war, with Russia going into Ukraine, China threatening to go into, and I don't think China's threatening. China will one day go into Taiwan. It's just they claim it as their sovereignty, and the Taiwan people also say, yes, we do belong to China, but we've been operating for a number of years independently. And so that's an issue. And it's a very raggedy issue. It's very janky. And we need two things. You need diplomacy, real diplomacy, because at this particular point, we can actually trip into a war. We could grandstand ourselves into a war. What do I mean by that? Well, China's showing its might. America's showing its might. Russia's showing its might. And they're all grandstanding until someone actually accidentally trips and steps on someone's foot that got a corn. And then now we're at a war. India, like I said, just joined China. Pakistan and Syria is still fighting. There's just a lot of fighting going on in the world, and no one's being honest about it, ladies and gentlemen. And, we got to really look at the security here in America. Our national security should be the #1 priority in the country. And so we need national security, and I really believe that you need more service members and veterans in key places like Secretary of Defense and issues like that. Democrats have historically, they've not been very kind to veterans. When you look at Secretary of Defense and other key positions, national security issues, very, very few of the people that are in those positions have actually ever served this country. That's the one thing a veteran knows how to do. A veteran knows how to look at things from multiple standpoints and get the job done. And so I just say this not on a world, only on a world issue, but on a federal issue. The Biden administration needs to recruit and hire more veterans as opposed to firing them. A lot of their veterans are actually being terminated, and it's just not talked about. But I digress. Okay, let's talk about you have certain congressmen. Let's talk about federal issues. You have congressmen like my congressman, Jamal Bowman. He absolutely hates veterans. I'm convinced. I believe this man hates veterans. I've never seen him at a Veteran Day parade. I've never seen him at a Memorial Day parade. I've never seen him actually put a tweet or a post saying, I'm here for the veterans. He voted against, and I'm going to tell you this again, him and 5 other people known as the Squad, AOC, and I forgot the others' name. I'm not from Minnesota and all them other places. But the 5 they call the Squad, those are the only 5 people that voted against the Veterans Security Act, and that's very unacceptable. Mr. Bowman, sir, Congressman Bowman, sir, if you could come on the show and perhaps tell the people of your district, because you are in my district. You voted against it. You voted against my best interests. You probably voted against many veterans in our district's best interests. If you can explain why you voted against our best interests and tell me on this show that you're not anti-veteran, because I believe you to be anti-veteran, I'm all ears, sir. You would have nothing but courtesy and respect on the show, and I would love to have you. You do some good things, but the veteran, it outweighs. I have this 51-49% rule, and you're on the 49% of being disfavored. And you know, I commend you for jumping out the window and ready to fight the Republican guy based off of the shooting, the mass shooting. But you don't have that same energy when it comes to veteran issues. You don't have that same energy when it comes to foundational Black American issues with respects to like reparation. I'm not saying you don't actually support it, but you are willing to die, kill, be arrested for transgender rights, women's rights, immigrant rights, but you won't even do those. This is what I'm charging you with, sir. But you won't do the same as it pertains to the oldest group of people in this country that have received the least amount of justice. So come on the show. Calling you out. Hopefully you'll hear it. I'm sure you do. We follow each other. And come on the show. Let's talk about it, all right? But I digress. Congressman Bowman hates veterans. Okay. Let's talk about the Republicans. So they are refusing to raise the debt ceiling because they want to take a lot of that PAC money that went to VA. I believe it was $300 billion that was supposed to go to VA, and they really want to cut. They want to make a lot of cuts to veteran and veteran services. Now, let's see what's attached to that $300 billion. You have the burn pits. A lot of soldiers came home with cancer because they had burn pits. You had Camp Lejeune. A lot of Marines have tested positive for cancer due to the contamination of water before 1988. Anyone with a third grade education will know that's those two just alone, and we're not talking about what sailors endured with AFFF, the aqueous film forming foam that firefighters used, that is also cancerous, that has not gotten into that bill. All of these things are coming up, and they should be compensated, because in most cases, you know, I believe DuPont knew that AFFF caused cancer. I mean, burn pits cause cancer. I'm sure they knew. But you for the greater good of a mission, you're like, yeah, you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. But now, these issues are becoming a national issue, and they do deserve a certain amount of compensation. So that $300 billion is, I don't see how you're going to cut it. I don't see why you would cut it, but you guys want to cut it, and it's really not, that's really not that cool. But they're actually saying we're going to hold up the country, affect the credit rating of America. We're already in the toilet now. China's money is starting to beat up ours, and we can't afford that. What we need is Democrats and Republicans to. It's either you got the left and you got the right. But someone please tell me who's in the middle? Who's willing to negotiate in the best interest of the American people? All right? You got the far right that says, oh, veterans don't deserve anything. I beg your pardon. You should put on a uniform and fight and have that same sentiment when you're home sick and you can't provide for your family. But then again, you got the people on the far left that probably feels the same way. Talking about the military industrial complex. So I mean, I understand the whole concept of the military industrial complex, but the bottom line is the only reason we are not speaking Mandarin right now is because we do have a military industrial complex, and we have weapons like they have weapons. See, what people don't really understand, powerful countries pick on one another for more power. So when you show weakness, they come in and they absorb your resources. So at the end of the day, what do? Do we sit around and allow China to continue to push and push, and we just this is how these social democrats think and feel? These, and this is what happens. The whole Jamal Bowman and the squad is a direct result of Democrats being greedy. And I'm going to tell you why. You never should have allowed Bernie Sanders to run as a Democrat. He's independent. I'm an independent. I vote on issues. He's independent. You should have had him run as an independent instead of stringing him along. So what you did was he breeded the AOCs. He breeded the Jamal Bowmans. He breeded these new social democrats that want to give you everything, the sun, the moon, the stars, and until you start pressing them, well, how do you pay for this? Who's paying for it? Then they start to stutter. Even Bernie Sanders himself, when pressed and said, do you believe in, he loves to say, oh, I was with Dr. King in the civil rights, and Dr. King this and Dr. King that. And when you press him and say, well, do you believe in reparations? Because Dr. King believed in reparations, he starts stuttering and saying, oh, no, well, that's divisive. So my vote would be divisive as well. Okay? Military service members that are foundational black Americans probably deserve a little bit more too. And shout out to the Black Veteran Project. These guys are actually they brought a claim, and it doesn't get the attention it deserves. I would love to bring this brother on and actually talk to him based on his research, based on his action and where we're going, and he's actually saying, hey, veterans deserve to be compensated for certain things. And I agree, but no one's looking for a handout. They're looking for a hand up. And I've always said this, and veterans are exceptional citizens. And rather than run away from my exception, I run to it. I'm quick to tell you, I joined the Navy one day after Saddam Hussein took over Kuwait. I went into the delay entry program. I depped, I waited, I went in knowing that there was a great chance of me going to war, which I did. And so that's my exception to this country. And I shouldn't have to run away from it. I run to it. And I should never be able to use the word veteran and homeless in any sentence. It's not a shame, it's a crime to use veteran and homeless in the same sentence. So, what does this all look like? It looks like this. You hold up the country because you don't want to raise the debt ceiling so that our money is not crippled anymore. Meanwhile, you have service members and veterans. You have people that are actually serving right now, right this minute, whose families are using food stamps. Can you believe that, America? You gotta be kidding me. And so when Trump says little things like, I'm not gonna blow the whole Trump trumpet, but I'm not gonna take wrong and make it right either. When he says that that's a shame, I agree with him. There's no way on God's green earth that a service member, maybe a veteran, but a service member should be on food stamps to support his family while serving in uniform. And anyone that knows, I'm very passionate when it comes to veteran issues. I think veterans are very exceptional. The only people that have a higher exception to them are those that built this country from scratch. And I'm talking again about foundational Black Americans. But I digress. Homeless service members serving right now on food stamps is a national crime. It's an unforgivable one. But you take a real quick 15-minute. We're going to take a real quick 15-second break, and we'll be right back. Kap or No Kap.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7, Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News you need to know.
Okay, we're back. Kap or No Kap. Right before I got off, I was talking about service members on food stamps. It's terrible. But homelessness is on the rise nationally. The homeless crisis in California, in Skid Row, and right there in DC, you have people sleeping in tents with American flags on it. New York City is their homelessness is a little bit more robust. It's more robust because New York City has found a way to actually capitalize on the homeless crisis. And how do they do that? Through the shelter systems. And until you are able to pull the corporate plutocracy out of homelessness, it will thrive in New York City. New York City is actually becoming more of a warehouse, so to speak, when it comes to homelessness. We are warehousing human beings, and everyone is getting paid in the homeless crisis except the homeless person. And that right there is also criminal. And veteran homelessness in New York City is criminal because a lot of the homelessness in New York City could be prevented. It's just like this. You got veteran homelessness, and that's the problem, right? Every problem has a solution. So the problem is veteran homelessness. The solution is veteran housing. Now, if I became homeless tomorrow in New York City, I have to go into a New York City homeless shelter. Actually, I go to 30th Street Men's Shelter, and I say, I'm a veteran and I'm homeless. I'm intaked. I go into a shelter. If I'm lucky, it's Borden Avenue, which is supposed to be a homeless shelter for veterans and only for veterans, but that's not the truth. It's not a 100% veteran shelter. It's a hybrid. It's about, you have 100 civilian homeless people in there, and that's very dangerous, and veterans should be able to be in their own shelter, in their own rooms, own cubicles, so forth and so on. But I digress. But the veteran homelessness, I'll stay in there for about 90 days, give or take, until I could get a HUD-VASH voucher. A HUD-VASH voucher is equivalent to Section 8 for veterans. But the reality is that the HUD-VASH voucher only relegates me to live within the 5 boroughs of New York City. And I'm scratching my head because anyone out there that's a lawyer, any kind of legal eagle out there that's willing to research this, please tell me the answer. I didn't know that the state of New York or the city of New York had so much jurisdiction over the federal government that they could relegate them only to the 5 boroughs. At a bare minimum, you should be able to go anywhere you want anywhere in the country you want with the HUD-VASH voucher. But at a very bare minimum, you should go anywhere in the state of New York. And so the state and the city is complicit in keeping veteran homeless, perpetuating by putting these clauses and these regulations. You shouldn't have to wait a year. There are places in New York State right now, up in Albany, there are ghost towns. There's no one living there. It's been depopulated. We can actually start populating ghost towns and spread this out. But then you're looking at power, because people will start going upstate, populating the areas, and they vote. So I also believe that the federal government needs to step in, because I think that it's very vague, and it needs clarity. And I've written letters on a federal, state, and city level raising this issue. And I really want to say, although I got a lawyer that said that it doesn't infringe on the 14th Amendment, I seem to think so, because you're just basically saying, I'm going to confine your homeless to one area. So I don't know. But as far as the state is concerned, the state of New York could do a lot more too. In their budget, they only gave a $15,000 increase for veteran service. That's disgusting. $15,000. That's all they gave extra to the state of New York for veterans and veteran services and their families. That's almost insulting. Shame on you, Governor Hochul. Shame, shame, shame for doing that. $15,000. I'd be ashamed to stick my face out the window. But the reality is, and now I'm talking to all of my veterans out there in Millennium TV land, we need to galvanize. We need to fight. They already taught us how to fight, but we need to pull up. We need to pull up to Jamal Bowman's office and ask him, are you anti-veteran? We need to pull up to Governor Hochul and ask her, what are we going to do with $15,000 amongst millions of veterans? And we all need to pull up on the commissioner, James Hendon, and ask him, where exactly is the $6.5 million that comes to your office actually really going? Not who you working in conjunction with. What exactly is your office doing? And how much is your payroll? So on a city level, New York City gives about roughly $6.5 million to Department of Veteran Services. Where that money goes, I don't know. But there's, give or take, about 300,000 veterans in New York City. So what you're looking at is probably like $25 a veteran. But I'm not going to get on the mayor, Eric Adams, because his office gave more than the governors ever did. And so one or two things we're going to have to do. We either hold the city and state accountable to veterans, which I'm really against. I'm being honest with you. I don't even want to talk to the city. I really don't even want to talk to the state. Our veteran issues is a federal issue, and that's who we need to talk to. I don't want to have to talk to the horse's mouth, get the word from the horse's mouth, and talk to its backside. And that's what the city and state is. They're the backside of the horse's mouth. There's nothing there. I don't expect Governor Hochul to do anything. She's, as far as I'm concerned, she's anti-veteran just as well with Jamal Bowman. So maybe Congressman Bowman, when his run is over for Congress, maybe he'll run for governor. But don't be foolish to get fooled twice. I'm telling you. But Commissioner Hendon, I don't know what you're doing with this money, sir. I know that you had discrepancies with money issues in the past. Pay for play. I really don't even understand how you became commissioner coming out of the de Blasio era. I don't know. You must know someone. This is when identity politics backfire. I'm so beyond voting for someone just because they're black, as if black people aren't crooks. I'm not going to vote for some, and we got to stop that. You got to put your interests on the table and vote according to your interests. And I don't care who's able to deliver it, as long as they could deliver to your interests, they should be looked at as a worthy opponent to actually deliver tangibles. And right now, I don't understand what you're doing with $6.5 million. We need, maybe the state should audit the city, or the city should audit Department of Veteran Services to see where this money is. Homelessness in New York City is probably the worst. It's probably worse than California. I'm being honest with you, because at least you can identify. They stop counting. Commissioner Hendon loves to say we're functioning zero. Well, that terminology came out of the Obama administration, and so you're dragging that functional zero. What is functional zero? You can't function at zero. We don't even have an account. We stopped counting the homeless a long time ago. Every time I go to work, I see on the train, and I'm sure my listeners that are listening, see a lot of street homeless people sleeping on the train. 3, 4, 5 people sleeping in one car, like stretched out. And this it's never been rectified after COVID. COVID created mobile shelters in the New York subway system, and that was the reason why they suspended service after a certain hour. It was because it was a homeless trap. It had nothing to do with them cleaning and sanitizing. So this issue in New York City with street homelessness is horrible. It's terrible, and no one cares. And shame on you, Commissioner. And I'll extend the same offer to you, as I did to Congressman Bowman, you could feel free to come on Kap or No Kap, and we could chop it up. I'll treat you with respect. I'll treat you with dignity. But I'm going to ask you some pretty pressing questions. And the first question that I would ask, and you could let this marinate, sir, is can privilege manage poverty? Because you come from privilege, but yet the people that you are servicing come out of poverty. You're a commissioned officer from West Point, and today's West Pointers, I'm sorry, I just got to call it the way I see it. Today's West Pointers are elitists. The West Pointers of yesteryear, they were honorable, admirable. They did the job. These today West Pointers are the worst. They are elitists. They will sell their mother's most comfortable pair of shoes just for clout. And I've watched you clout chase, sir. So what you're doing is essentially using this position to gear yourself up into another position that you want to be in. And at the end of the day, in the bottom line, shame on you, because you are a veteran, you are a combat veteran, but you're an officer. And I could count how many officers that are in the street. The people that you're servicing are enlisted members that don't come from privilege. You actually come from privilege, and you are a commissioned officer. So I think whoever the powers that be on your board or wherever, this is what they need to be looking at. Like, can privilege manage poverty? And the answer is no, because in order to do that, you got to be able to eat from the same bowl of rice that the unprivileged is eating from. But I digress. I'm going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Kap or No Kap.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss Todd Goldfinger's show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 news you need to know.
We're back, Kap or No Kap. So I'm finished beating up on Commissioner, the governor. The world's in a mess. The state's only giving us $15. That's the minimum wage, $15 an hour. Right? They gave us 15 grand for veterans and veteran families and their issues. But now I want to talk to the vets specifically. We have to galvanize. We have to. No one's going to fix our problem but us. And what they do is they put us against one another. So I'm speaking out right now. It might not be popular to someone who might be in a position where they are getting individual funding. But it's if we all ain't eating, we all starving. And so we got to start looking at things a little bit different. Like, we have to get together. I'm willing to start. Listen out for me. Anyone that knows me on social media, mostly Facebook, know that I'm very active when it comes down to veteran issues. And I think I'm going to try to galvanize us to actually make a difference, because I don't like the fact that there's veteran homelessness. It hurts my heart, and more can be done, much more. But I digress. Let's talk about crime. Crime is going through the roof, ladies and gentlemen. They're cooking the books here in New York City. While murders might be down, everything else has gone up. Robbery, assault, and the reality is, when you have a weak economy, when there's a lack of jobs, you're going to have a spike in crime. When you have more jobs, you're going to have less crime. So while the issue is put on us, and it is, as a society, you got to look at the root. Everything has a root. You can't, everything, cause and effect. You got to understand it. For every cause, there's an effect to it. So when we're going to cut jobs, you look for, and this is not just in the black community, this is in any community. White, Asian, whatever community. Less jobs, more crime. Because you got to go into the underworld to feed yourself. So we got to really start figuring out how to create entrepreneurship opportunities for people. I'm starting to feel as if our government is abandoning its American citizens. We are eating our citizens. When you could give billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine and anywhere else in the world, and you have high crime and lack of jobs and not being able to support families, not being able to support themselves, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I want the federal government to know the money that you use is not your money. It's the people's money. This is our money. So I have a lot to say, and I'm not going to be quiet as I say it, because I pay my taxes. You know, I don't have a 501c3, so I don't need anything from nobody. I pride myself in this. But I want you to be held accountable, because I'm held accountable as a citizen. And, you know, there's an election coming up. And I guess the sad part is, if it comes down to Biden and Trump, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the lesser two evils is no more. I mean, I'm like, damn, why does black people gotta settle for the lesser two evils as if evil itself ain't bad? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. And we just probably need to validate ourselves and figure out maybe how to pull away from this system, because it doesn't seem like this system is really helping us. You know, I mean, we just let's open our mind to certain things. You know, I want to be clear about the ceiling debt. If they don't raise that ceiling debt, look, we're well on our way to paying $7, $8, $9 for a container of orange juice. And shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, because he predicted this 20 years ago. And anyone that don't know who Dr. Claude Anderson is, please YouTube this man. He's brilliant. But and he's a Marine, Korean War veteran. Brilliant man. But he predicted this. He predicted this was going to happen, and he predicted also that the most impact by it were going to be Native Black Americans, which is true. And so you see people in the street in New York City tweaking. These are people with mental health issues, probably based off of being homeless. You know, like, we got to figure out how to really take care of this problem. I say this all the time. You cannot address the homeless crisis in America without addressing gentrification. Gentrification is ethnic cleansing, American style. It's no different than what Nazi Germans did to Jews. Only thing that's different is the method in which they're doing it. And we have to be aware of this. We have to pull ourselves away from popular culture, because we're following popular culture, and it might as well have a skull and bones. That's death. How I govern myself, anything that popular culture tells me is good for me, I do the opposite. It's just that simple. Again, anything that popular culture tells me is good for me, I do the opposite. All right? I want you guys to tune in also Saturday, because this Saturday I am going to, around 2 o'clock, I believe I'm supposed to be doing another live broadcast, or just a broadcast. I don't know if it's going to be taped. I don't know if it's going to be live. But I'm going to do a broadcast on Saturday on hip hop. You know, I want to touch a little bit about hip hop as well, and I guess I'll spend the rest of my show talking about hip hop. So I get into a lot of debates as it pertains to hip hop and the culture. There are different allegories that are thrown out there. You know, what I like to say basically is there are two hip hops. One is culture and one is industry. And the two don't really necessarily like each other. The two don't actually mix. They don't work together. They really don't like each other. But the industry has more power because it has more money, has influence. And so when we look at hip hop culture today, what you're looking at essentially is popular culture from the industry standpoint. Again, that's the bone and skull. And so that's where your drill rap come, your gangster rap, your trap rap, all of that's, you know, that's industry hip hop. Then you have the what they call awareness rap or revolutionary rap and education rap, or just party and have fun. That's the culture. So the two of them don't really necessarily get together. They don't necessarily mix. You know, you usually industry rap or industry hip hop, you can, while you are able to probably dance to it, it always has a negative undertone, usually. Not all the time, but usually. So it is saying something, but it has an undertone where it's also, there's some type of detriment attached to it. Now, 50 years of hip hop, we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. You know, I would love to see a lot of this come to a head where we could talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of hip hop, because it has all of those elements too. It has good elements, it has bad elements, and it has ugly. It has pretty too, you know. And you kind of spin certain things around, and you know, like, we can't be afraid to talk about things. And so, you know, Saturday I want to definitely talk about hip hop and the culture of it. But you know, back to the industry end of it. You know, like, it hurts me to see that you have this door called hip hop, and just about everyone's trying to get in that door. Everyone is trying to get in that door. And the reality is we all ain't going to fit in that door. And so what happens is you have people out here 50 years old still trying to talk about I'm making an album, and like, let it go. Unless you're doing it for the culture. So, you know, I really want to, you know, talk about, I'm always keep the needle on the record and talk about, no pun intended, keep the needle on the record and talk about veteran issues, but I also like to talk about hip hop issues. Matter of fact, I'd love to find a veteran that is into the culture. I know there's a few of them. You had Cannabis, who served. Thank you for your service. You had No Malice, serve. Thank you for your service. But there's MC Hammer, of course, Ice-T. You know, shout out to Ice-T and MC Hammer. They served. Thank you for your service. But you know, I would love to actually talk to hip hop veterans, so to speak, to talk about different issues, and I think I'm gonna try to do that as well. Try to get some of these veterans that are into the culture, even into the industry. Could be the culture, could be the industry, because I believe Cannabis was in the industry, but now, you know, he kind of, after the army, he just kind of disappeared. I haven't heard from him. Yeah, but I'm gonna take a real quick commercial break. I'm gonna sum up my thoughts, and we'll be right back. This is Kap Or No Kap. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jagu TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jagu BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News you need to know.
We're back, Kap Or No Kap. All right, I just want to share, some quick final thoughts on the show. Probably gonna wrap this up a little bit early today. We'll be back, and we're going to be more consistent. I look to bring certain people on. Want to talk about just about anything, because this is a political TV show. But the reality is anything could be politicalized. We could politicalize boxing. We could politicalize, and I love boxing. And shout out to Tank. I don't know how many of you guys saw that fight, man. It was everything I wanted it to be. I knew Ryan Garcia was going to run out of gas. It's a great fight. Anyway, you could politicalize boxing. You could politicalize music. You could politicalize art. You could politicalize entertainment. And of course, the country itself is politicalized because there are so many people in the country with different views. We all have two eyes, but we have different views. That's a quote that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. So, shout out to him and the Nation of Islam. But I would love for us to bring actual. You could politicalize You could politicalize a cup of coffee. So, I look to do that. That's what I look for the show. And later on, we're going to put up a way to reach me on the TV show, Kap Or No Kap. And you tell me some of the shows that you want to see. Tell me what you want to talk about. And if you want to come on the show, come on the show. Tell me, this show is open. We're open to advertisers. We're open to new business. We're open to actual participants on the show. So this is what we want to do, is get new people on the show and have perspectives, because that's the only way we're going to move this record, is by understanding each one's perspective. You have people that migrated here that may have joined the military. I'd want to hear from you too. Homeless vets, I would love to hear from you. So I'm opening a platform. This platform was given to me to express the views that I wanted to talk about. Now I want to open that same line for you, so that we can open up the line and we can talk about, because the only way we're going to bring forth any type of understanding is by talking about it and understanding different perspectives, different ideologies. We can't sit around and just point fingers. We got to become solution based. But in order to understand a solution, we first got to understand the problem. See, the problem is we don't understand the problem. It's very simple. We got to understand the problem to effectively get solutions. This is an election year now coming up. You got different people that are out voting. Hold your vote, and don't be afraid. Ask that person, what do you plan on doing for me? See, when but be able, when they say, well, what do you want? Don't say something. Be able to say what you want. So when I ask that question, what do you want? I want to see veteran housing on a federal, a state, and a city, and even on a local scale. Like, I would even love to see a Bronx veteran housing project where the Bronx actually invests in veteran housing to make it work, because it will work. I just want you to know it will work. And gentrification is actually pushing us out. We're not looking at this, I'm telling you. Mark my words. They're pricing us out. This is a slow death. It's a slow, humane death that they're offering in the name of gentrification. Developers don't care about you. The privatization of public housing is wrong and a mistake. It's just that the federal government decided they don't want to be into the housing business anymore. But instead of giving it to the private sector, we should have had there should have been another alternative. What? I don't know. So I want to talk to anyone that want to talk about these issues. Come on to the show. The producers will put how to reach me. They'll put my email address up, and I look forward to hearing from you guys, man. Like, we can't do this by ourselves. We got to do this together. We got to do this as a collective. And I respect anyone and everyone that respects me. You show me no respect, I'm equally disrespectful. But I'm not gonna put powdered sugar on a lie and say it's the truth. And so, with that said, we got to have a barometer of where the truth lies and where the lie ends. And so I will ask pressing questions because I want pressing answers. The people, not only in America, but people around the world deserve these answers. This show reaches various countries throughout the whole entire world. They deserve answers. So, with that said, I want to give a real big thank you and shout out to Millennium TV 24. Obviously, they give me this platform to express the views, to talk about these views. I want to, we're on Roku, we're on Apple TV, we are on all of your tablet, electronic devices. Download us right now, Millennium TV. Go to Millennium TV right now and download the app. And, hey, email me and reach out and tell me what you want to see. Until next week, this is your boy Kevin C. Meggett, Kap or No Kap, and we weren't capping. Peace.